In this section, we are going to explore the third phase that your heart enters once it becomes sick, which is the desire to hurt others. This is a stage in which you begin to feel angry because no matter how hard you try, you cannot stop thinking about the injustice you received from that person who hurt you. And unfortunately for you, the discomfort will increase exponentially as the weeks go by, especially if at the first time your ex partner seemed to reveal his life very easily, without you. Something that gets complicated depending on the environment in which you live, especially if you have friends or family who like to make you feel bad. You know, they bring you news about your ex partner, or they make you look at their social networks when that person posts something that shows how good they feel after the relationship ended. Many people fall into this game and also start pretending to be fine. They even quickly look for a new relationship as a way to hurt that person who hurts them so much. But as you can see, this is a contradiction. You gain nothing by watching your ex social media, nor by trying to hurt them by starting a new relationship out of spite. Now, what causes this stage in which that desire to hurt others arises in you, especially your ex partner who made you suffer? Essentially, the anger you feel for being trapped in a constant process of pain, which in turn is generated in your psychic heart due to the lack of connection. The other thing that this stage generates, once it has matured, is your desire to receive some type of compensation for everything you are currently suffering, as a way of recovering your self esteem and personal value. What are the problems that arise at this stage? Mainly that you develop emotions and with it thoughts that become very toxic for you. This is the phase in which you can help but think of ways to get revenge on your ex partner. But if you look closely, in that process, you begin to invest a large amount of emotions and, above all, time in something that doesn't make any sense, and that in turn causes you to begin to develop a pattern of obsessive thoughts. Those thoughts that constantly come to your mind and that you cannot get rid of no matter how hard you try, and that subject you to that state of constant pain, which makes you feel back into the belief that only to the extent that you hurt to your ex partner, you will be able to obtain that compensation that you are looking for so much for your wounded ego, as a way to recover your self esteem. All of this, in turn, leads you to develop a frame of physical pain, because if you pay attention, every time you think about your ex partner and what you want to do to him or her, but also to the person you are with, your ex partner starts a relationship. An alteration in your emotion is generated in you, which in turn causes states of physical pain, whether in your stomach, your chest, shoulders, or head, which generates greater discomfort than you had before, with which you fall back into that circle of seeking revenge on that person who you think is causing you the pain you feel at that moment. If you know this, with all this, you develop the belief that you hurt others through your thoughts, but in reality, you are only hurting yourself. Now, what happens if you don't fix a problem like this? Anger will consume you for many years. It could even be decades, with all the emotional, physical energy and time that entails. And that in turn will cause you to lose focus on your own life, precisely because you are going to be focused on devising a way to hurt that person who hurt you. And therefore, you are going to stop working on yourself and your own goals. because of this obsession that I am talking to you about here, which leads you to constantly think about a person who no longer cares about you. And that is going to cause you to enter a state in which you are going to hurt the people who do care about you, mind you, because of someone who is no longer with you. An example of this is the case of the person who harasses his ex-partner and the new partner of his previous relationship as a way of trying to regain the control he has lost in his life once the relationship has broken down. The biggest problem with all this is that a process of this type leads you to make a fool of yourself on a social level, and even begin to receive negative comments from the society in which you live, because you cannot stop hurting or trying to hurt someone who has already revealed his life without any problem. Given all this frame of reference, what is the solution for a frame of this type? The first thing is to help you dissociate your sense of value from the happiness of your ex-partner or the happiness of other people. When you realize that your happiness does not depend on them, that is when you finally free yourself from that emotional loop or vicious circle in which you were. This will enable us to help you reactivate your ability to be happy on your own and thereby help you focus on your own life projects. Because that's where you are going to find the ability to get back at that person. Being happy without the need to be with him or her. And the third thing we must work on is to help you regulate the anger that arises in you due to the injustices you experience in the present, which have nothing to do with your failed relationship. Many people experience anger because at an unconscious level, they continue to associate the pain they felt in the past with what happens to them with the people they interact with in their present, which has nothing to do with what they are experiencing at that moment in their lives. Which, as you will realize, is what prevents them from achieving that state of happiness that they seek so much. Even find a real person who wants to be by their side. And with this, we will be able to generate in you the self-perception of value even when the world is unfair to you. That is to say, even when other people treat you badly, you will still feel like the coolest person in the universe, because you are. In the next section, we are going to explore the fourth phase of a sick heart, which is the fear of being hurt again. I see you there.